I'd say the first challenge is finding the resources and retaining those resources. Every industry, every company, every school, you name it, everybody now needs specialists in this area to help them address the risks associated with cyber. Because as I said before, we are all very, very integrated. And so, how do we find resources and how do we maintain them within our organizations? Because there is a lack of people that are specialists in the cyberspace. So, that's one, finding the resources. And then two is depending on the third party that we are trying to onboard, some of them are not so forthright in sharing certain information like pen tests or specific policy information or specific metrics, especially some of the very large institutions. And depending on your size as a company and what you mean to that particular supplier, you may not be that important because they have, very, very big companies that are their clients. So sometimes it's a challenge to get information, and we have tried different ways in which to get what we need without passing information back and forth. So site visits are one where we go on site and we review policies together in a room. Nothing is given to you to take away. Nothing is emailed to you or anything like that. I will review potential pen tests or high-level summaries of them so that we can get comfortable with the control environment that they have. We often feel, they are as regulated as we are, or even more so. And so we should be able to rely on them without having to do these deep dives. But that is not an acceptable practice to say, okay, we don't need to do an assessment because we know they're regulated just like we are and what the expectations are. So we still have to do our due diligence. The other thing, at least in financial services, that we've done is we've created a company called TrueSight, where they actually do the assessments of our common third parties or vendors. And then as a subscriber to them, we get the results of those assessments. So basically, it helps us in regards to what we have to actually execute. It also helps those vendors that are used by many of us to not have to deal with so many people asking them the same questions. There are also other companies like BitSight and Security Scorecard that have methodologies that they use to determine security ratings based upon what they can access from the outside. And so we are also leveraging things like that. So it's kind of a holistic package of the different things that we can use to better understand the control environment, especially, again, of our highest risk vendors. And then I'd say another of the bigger challenges for us is working with the businesses and bringing on third parties. Sometimes they would like to take on more risk than potentially the risk appetite of the company. For many reasons. It could be timing, we can bring them on quickly, we have deadlines, we have this, we have that. Or secondly, everybody else uses them, we need to use them. And so sometimes that becomes a challenge, really risk versus reward. And then we think about different compensating controls or mitigating controls by bringing in maybe a vendor that there may be some concerns about. So if I think about it, those are the big three areas that we're challenged with when we're managing risk associated with third parties in cyber.